Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki
Jai.
Shri Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanande
Haribo.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devne Gauravani Prachane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatagane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhurvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Devotees, welcome to the 32 round day. Normally it is the 64 round day. Maybe in the future it will be also here too. But anyway, today it is the 32 round day unconditioned. Yeah, today it's the 32 round day, and I wanted to just give you a little background. It's very interesting. It's very interesting that Lord Chaitanya, one time in Jagannath Puri, he told the devotees that I will only eat in the house of a Lakeshwara. And the devotees became bewildered because normally that term, Lakeshwara, is used to refer to a person who has 100,000 rupees, which in those days was really a lot. It was just a vast amount. Actually, by today's standards, I imagine it would be many millions. Just really, really many millions. And as a result, the poor devotees, they just became bewildered. They became really bewildered, and they just couldn't understand what is going on. And so they questioned Lord Chaitanya. Well, actually, many of them said, that means that we are not going to be able to serve you by providing prasad any longer. And this was, it was just very disturbing for them. But then the Lord explained that what I mean is that I will not accept prasadam cooked by anyone who doesn't chant, who chants less than 1 lakh of names a day, 100,000. Yes. And the devotees were happier. And then Lord Chaitanya, he spoke about this point that if someone chants less than 100,000 names of the Lord, then they are contaminated. They are contaminated. And Krishna does not accept what they offer if they try to offer something. Yes. So then, of course, the devotees resolved that, of course, we will chant 100,000 names of the Lord. I'm actually trying to find the quotation. It's quite, there's a series of verses, and it's very interesting. But anyway, one way or the other, that's okay. Yes, so if someone doesn't chant 1 lakh, then they are contaminated, and Krishna doesn't accept what they may try to offer. So the devotees then, of course, resolved that we will chant 1 lakh. And you may know that when Srila Prabhupada started ISKCON, there's a very famous conversation of Srila Prabhupada's with Mukunda Maharaj. I think it has appeared in one of his Vyasa Puja offerings, perhaps, in which he describes a conversation he had with Prabhupada. You're probably familiar with the conversation. The devotees are just getting into chanting and chanting on beads, and Mukunda Maharaj is deputed by the devotees to find out from Swamiji, Prabhupada, how much should we chant? What chanting should we do? And Prabhupada says, well, you should chant 64 rounds a day. And Mukunda Maharaj says, I think he doesn't go back to the devotees, he just says that, Swamiji, I think this is too much. The devotees are not going to be capable. And Srila Prabhupada says, all right then, 32. And Mukunda Maharaj says, well, I think that's too much. And then Srila Prabhupada says, well, 16 then, but no less. No less. Here I am trying to find these things. I haven't left myself enough time. 16, but no less. There's a place, it's in Nectar of Instruction, where Srila Prabhupada talks about chanting 100,000 names. It was the standard of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. Like, at the time of initiation, if not, taking a vow, but at the very least it was understood that you must chant 64 rounds a day. It was like the normal program. And I don't interact much with Gaudiya people because they tend to occupy a different space in Krishna consciousness. I mean, it's Krishna consciousness, but it's a different space. But those are a few of them I've spoken to. One sannyasi I spoke to actually just a couple of years ago, he expressed great disappointment at how in the Gaudiya Math people were not now chanting 64 rounds, that it was very rare. And he said he was doing it, and it was just like a real point for him that, we just have to chant 64 rounds, and that's all there is to it. So, Shri Panchatattva Ke.
Jai.
Yeah. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta made the point that anyone who doesn't chant 100,000 names means 64 rounds. Actually, it's a little less. It is, I don't know, maybe 62. I mean, it can easily be calculated, actually. So anyone who doesn't chant is contaminated. So therefore the point can obviously arise that if you're contaminated, if you chant less than 64 rounds, then what are we doing chanting 16 rounds? Is it just, sort of a hopeless situation? Might as well give up? Something like that. It is not. It is not that. And why is it not that? It is not that because between Srila Prabhupada, actually it's Mukunda Maharaj, it's in his book, Planting the Seed, in a book called Planting the Seed, maybe it's his book. And he says, Srila Prabhupada strongly presented 64 rounds. Srila Prabhupada asked him, what is your definition of Krishna? Mukunda Maharaj said, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's a cowhead boy. He's love personified. Prabhupada said, yes, very good. Prabhupada said, so now you must chant 64 rounds. Mukunda Maharaj said, he went into shock and he could not answer. He didn't know if there was a need to answer. He just looked at Prabhupada and Prabhupada looked at him. After some time, Prabhupada said, at least you can chant 32 rounds. Mukunda Maharaj was silent and wondering how he could do it. And then Prabhupada said, all right, at the very least, 16 rounds every day. You know, we read the other day some quotations from Prabhupada in which he is emphasizing 64 rounds, not just emphasizing, but establishing the essential nature that you must chant 16 as a minimum. And we shouldn't think that 16 is enough. It's a minimum, particularly if it's chanted without offenses. Who's chanted 16 rounds already today? Who's chanted 16 without offenses? It's another story, isn't it? Prabhupada says in Nectar of Instruction, the Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in the Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on beads. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of Japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen, patita. According to his calculation, every one of us is fallen. But because we're trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. So, yes, the way it appears is that there was a deal made, seriously, between Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Because Srila Prabhupada had a relationship with Krishna. They were on speaking terms, or, actual terms of interaction. One devotee asked Prabhupada once that, do you know everything? And Prabhupada replied, no, but Krishna does, and he tells me. So that sort of relationship was there between Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. And therefore we understand that it's like Srila Prabhupada asked Krishna, is it all right if these Westerners just chant 16 rounds? These Westerners and people, like adopted Westerners. People who adopted the Western way of life and just the Western consciousness, actually. That's what it boils down to. Yeah. When we're preaching to Indian people in India, and just Indian people, it's an interesting point. They'll take to Krishna consciousness more easily than Westerners. They're more easily attracted. It's just a fact. It's really a fact, actually, to just come along and just, get involved in it. It's much easier. As soon as you give them a set of beads and tell them to chant 16 rounds, it becomes difficult. Yeah, it becomes difficult. So, this type of contamination is now just global. As Krishna consciousness has become globalized, the contaminations of Kali Yuga have become globalized. Therefore, everyone should chant at least 16 rounds, whatever their background is. So this day, at least till midday, we have nothing else to do. Hopefully we don't have to wash clothes. Hopefully someone else is cooking. Of course, you can help with the eating. We should be very careful, though, when we try to chant 64 rounds or today 32, that we don't pressurize ourselves. This is a very common problem for someone who's trying to get 16 rounds done, but the mind objects. That devotees may pressurize themselves to get it done, somehow complete it. But actually we should try and take it like, Srila Sanatana Goswami says in Hari Bhakti Vilas, we should chant with avyagratava, patience, a peaceful state of mind. We should not get into the counting game, a numbers game. How many, X number, how much time, okay, calculation. Rather, we should take it that Krishna is our friend. And today, we have, if it was 64 hours, we'd have the whole day to spend with our friend, Krishna, just exchanging in nice ways, personal, friendly, with emotion ways. For us, at least up till the middle of the day, we should try and take it like that. We'll eat together, spend time together. So today is a day for spending more time with our friend, Krishna, in the form of his name. You can sit down with your friend. If you start becoming a little dozy, then you can walk around with your friend. Yes, but keep the friendship alive. Oftentimes, or sometimes at least, when we do the 64 round days, we don't let anyone talk. Only Hare Krishna and Rama, and the Panchatattva Mahamantra. Okay. That's it. Finished. And at prasadam time, I've at least been there at least once when we rigidly did it. Prasadam time, the devotees are serving prasad, and it's like, oh, Hare Krishna. And, like, Hare Krishna. It's really nice. And if you need to speak to someone, actually, then you go outside. Or even if you really need to speak to someone, don't. So, it's a Krishna conscious version of Mauna Vrata. So it's Prabhupada's mercy we only have to chant 16 rounds. Prabhupada said he's 90% more lenient than his spiritual master. 90% more flexible. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was a very rigid type of person. And, you may have heard, if people fell asleep during his class, devotees. Sometimes he would have them, at least at what's called the Chaitanya Mat in Mayapur. Sometimes he'd have them picked up and thrown in the kund. Seriously. There's a kund there they call. It's either Radha Kund or Shama Kund. Just next to the temple. So, yeah, Prabhupada. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was very stringent, very rigid. Prabhupada was much more flexible, much more flexible. So let us make the most of it. Now, well, you've done quite a number of rounds, some 16 at least, I'm sure. Many of you have done 10 or 12 or 13 or 14 or whatever. We've got time. We'll have breakfast. Then there's no limit on how soon you can come back and start chanting. You can just come back within 5 minutes. Grab a mouth to eat. You don't even have to eat. Yeah. The thing is, keep chanting, keep chanting. And remember, as we said, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, not some other thing. Hear the mantra. This is the point. Utilize the eyes, at least from time to time, in seeing the deity, seeing the mantra, seeing Prabhupada like this. And try to be a little mindful of the mood, the ideal mood, which is one of appealing, even begging for mercy, for acceptance, for opportunity. Yeah. So let's do like that, and if we do like that, well, I've found so far today, it's been really nice. So nice. And let's just carry on. And I think it's going to be a wonderful experience. And if you really get into it, by the time we finish, you may not be able to stop. Certainly you won't want to stop. And you won't feel like, that's good. Finished. And impetus will be there. Prabhupada was asked, what is the result of chanting Hare Krishna? Prabhupada answered, more chanting, an attraction, an attachment, a taste develops. Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Prabhupada Mahaprasadam ki
Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,